There are three people here. There's Samuel, Justin, and Kelly. So do any of you want to open your cameras to introduce yourselves? Good afternoon. So unmute yourself.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Justin, and is there a Kelly Dunn? And good afternoon, Justin and Samuel. So how are you doing in the class? How are you all doing?
I'm doing good. I'm still trying to get used to the Canvas.
Do you like it so far?
I'm still confusing to me. Yeah, I never had to use virtual work study from home yet.
So do you prefer the face-to-face study, the face-to-face classes instead?
Yes, I think I'm old school like that.
Usually people show their age when they prefer one to the other. What about you, Justin? Which do you prefer?
I agree with Samuel. It's definitely a kind of a switch from in-person classes or work to doing it online, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it now a little bit better.
Is for both of you? Is this your first online class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome to English 101. And what you're going to do is we're going to be going over English grammar, and we're going to go over the first chapter of the book. So who is the student? I've got someone that's just named student who's connecting to audio. So Brittany.
Well, Kelly's here, and I don't know how to open my camera. This is my first Zoom.
Oh, okay. You just go to, can anyone help her? How do you give the directions? Anybody from students?
You should have an icon at the bottom left of the Zoom screen that you could either click on for video.
I did that.
Yeah.
But it's got like an orange rectangle with or a triangle with the exclamation point by it.
So I don't know.
Do you have the computers from school?
No, it's a Mac.
It might be that.
Yeah, it's a Mac. Yeah, the Mac Zoom is slightly different than the PC Zoom, and I got a PC, so I can't really.
That's okay.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so let's get back to why we're all here. We're going to go over the week 1 quiz. Now, during my lectures, I do go over the quiz, and then that's why I always insist that students watch the Zoom recording before they take the quiz. So you guys are doing the right thing. And so what I had to delay was because I was looking for my file. So let's go into the week 1, and I will share my file. And so this is the week 1 instructor session. And so in the week 1 instructor session, we introduced ourselves, and I always tell people to attend the Zoom meeting before they take the quiz. And you can take your quiz after you score 100% on the week 1 practice quiz. And the practice test is inside this lesson. So after I give the lesson about the grammar rules, then we all take a practice quiz. And then the practice quiz are the actual quiz questions on your week 1 quiz. So here we go. Let's learn our, so this week we're going to cover parts of speech. What is a subject and a verb in a sentence? We're going to cover verb tenses, subject-verb agreement. And after we go over all the, rules, we're going to take our week 1, which is actually kind of fun. Students actually like it because they get to be tested on what they know or remember from my lecture. So let's go in. So here you have, study this section carefully because the answers to the practice quiz are embedded in these grammar concept explanations. So you can memorize these sentences because these sentences, especially the ones that are colored in, are on your week 1 quiz. And so we have the first parts of speech is a common noun. So a common noun is a person, place, or thing. So for example, a common noun would be a book, river, table, or my banana. And so that's a common noun. Plural noun means you have more than one person, place, or thing, such as books, rivers, tables. A proper noun are names and titles of people, places, or things. Proper nouns are capitalized. So King James, Uncle Steve, Aunt Janet, Ronald Reagan, those are all proper names, proper nouns, and they all need to be capitalized. And so here is an actual quiz question. Which one is a noun? A, ran, B, river, C, lumpy. So the answer is B, because river is a thing. Therefore, it is a common noun. Janet earned first place in the poetry competition. What type of noun is the underlined word? Is it A, plural, B, proper, or C, common? And so the correct answer is it's a proper noun because it is the name of a person. My aunt makes the best chocolate cake. What type of noun is the underlined word? And so aunt, you're going to notice that it doesn't say Aunt Janet. It just says aunt. Therefore, that makes it a common noun. Now, if I wrote Aunt Janet, then I would have to capitalize aunt and it becomes a proper noun. So that's where people get confused. But if I just say aunt and I don't know which aunt it is, then it becomes a common noun. Another kind of noun is a pronoun. A pronoun replaces a noun. A pronoun must agree with the noun it replaces. And the noun it replaces is the antecedent. And there are two kinds of pronouns. You've got the subject pronouns that come before the verb, and you've got the object pronoun that comes after the verb. So subject pronouns, he, she, they, we, you. Object pronouns, but that come after the verb, him, her, us, you, them. And a pronoun always agrees with its antecedent. What's the antecedent? So if I say Janet is fun, Janet is the antecedent because I'm going to replace the noun Janet with she. And I cannot say Janet, he. So therefore, Janet and the pronoun have to be the same. They have to agree in gender and number. That's important to remember because you're going to have a true and false question. True or false? Do pronouns agree in gender or number to its antecedent? And the answer to that is true. Children are innocent. Here, children is the antecedent, and children is plural. So therefore, you have they are cute. A child is innocent. So that's singular. The antecedent child is singular. So therefore, the pronoun he or she becomes a singular pronoun. And notice that because it comes before the verb, it's he and she and they, okay, when it comes before the verb is. If it comes after the verb, then it becomes him, her, us, you, them. That's why we don't say them is innocent and we don't say her is innocent, okay? So that's important to remember because I get a lot of students who say, me and my friends go to the party. Have you ever heard people talk like that? When people say, me and my friends go to the party? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the
So,
South.
so why do we always say he or she and not him and her is innocent? Anybody want to explain that grammar rule, which I just explained? This will show me how much everyone's understanding everything. So why do we say he or she is innocent and we don't say him and her is innocent? Samuel. Justin.
Really?
Sorry, you got it?
You're good. No.
Justin. Why do we say he or she is innocent and we don't say him and her is innocent?
Improper grammar.
Yeah, it's improper grammar. Why is it improper grammar?
Because it's an object pronoun and not a subject pronoun. Because
Oh,
you're talking
right, you
about a
got it.
certain
Yeah,
subject.
excellent. Yeah, it's because he or she is a subject pronoun that comes before the verb. And the reason why it's called a subject pronoun is because he or she is the subject of the sentence. And therefore, an object pronoun is the object of the verb. That's why it comes after the verb. And therefore, it's known as an object pronoun. And we use him, her, us, you, them. Do you understand everything so far? Is everything good? Good. Are you clear on this? Do you need extra explanation for me to go over something? Am I going too fast?
No. I'll
No?
just go over it again. I'm just switching from I didn't study
This
Hebrew.
is all everyone's review of, I'm guessing, second grade grammar, right? Remember how your teacher would ask you in second grade all of this when you first started learning to read and write? Okay, here is an actual, what is the correct pronoun to use for the antecedent children? So this is an actual quiz question. The children played with blank toys all day. So do we say they played with their toys all day? Do they play with them toys all day, or his or her toys all day?
There.
Yeah, why is it there?
It's plural.
Because it's plural. Children means more than one child. So therefore, we write the children played with their toys all day. So therefore, the pronoun has to agree in gender and number. Therefore, in this case, number. All right, now before I continue, everything is good with parts of speech because we're leaving parts of speech behind. Okay, so now parts of a sentence, which is chapter 21 of your book. So the subject of the sentence, so when you have a complete sentence, you have a subject plus verb plus object. So the subject, just like with subject pronouns, come before the verb, objects come after the verb, hence object pronouns and subject pronouns. The dog, subject, chased, verb, the cat, object, around the yard, preposition. So a preposition shows time and place. So this is a simple sentence. The subject does the action, the verb is the action, the object receives the action. The preposition shows where something is. The subject of a sentence tells who or what the sentence is about, or who or what is doing the action. And so this is true because the subject of the sentence is always the one that's doing the action. So this is also known as active voice. For in an active voice sentence, it is the subject that's doing the action. In a passive voice sentence, it's the object that's doing the sentence. So I'll be going over that in a little bit. And then you have a singular subject, which means one dog. The dog chased after the cat. Then you have plural subjects, many dogs chased after the cat, more than one dog. So then your quiz question is going to be, which one demonstrates a plural subject? The coats, or the coats? And this time I didn't write in the answer. So which one is a plural subject? A, B, or C?
A.
A. Okay, so that's an easy one. All right, so now we're leaving behind subjects and objects and chapter 21 for that matter. Now we're going on to chapter 24 of your textbook, regular and irregular verbs. So how are verbs used in English? So verbs usually show action. I ran, I talk, I walk, that sort of thing. And verbs also show time. Yesterday I went to the park. Tomorrow I will go to the store. Right now I'm giving a lecture. So verb tenses show time. The simple tense, the simple past tense, or the regular verb is when you add ed. Yesterday I walked. Today I talked. Irregular verbs don't have ed as their past tense. So instead of saying I teached, I would say I taught, I spoke, instead of I speaked. The past participle is used with a helping verb. So every time you have a perfect tense or a past participle, it's I have talked, I had. Anything with the verb have is a past participle. So I had parked my car in the parking lot. So that is a past participle. So for now, you have to remember that verbs show time and it shows action. And then you have many different kinds of tenses. You've got the present perfect tense. I have lived in LA for many years. The present perfect tense starts a little bit in the past and continues into the present. The present participle, in other words, the progressive tense, means something that you're doing right now. Right now, I'm teaching the lesson. Right now, you are learning grammar. Then you've got the simple present tense. Right now, I tell the students how to study for their quiz. And then present progressive, I am speaking in this lesson. So in all of these verb tenses, it tells you when something is happening, whether it's in the past, present, or the future. And then verb tenses also show active and passive voice. So if I am the one doing the action, Professor H is currently talking. So therefore that's active voice. If I say the students are being taught English by Professor H, that's passive voice because the students are sitting back and receiving the action of learning grammar. Therefore, that's passive voice. So in a passive voice sentence, you have is being taught. You have be verb plus a past tense plus by. So on your quiz, you have to be able to tell the difference between a passive voice and an active voice. So on your quiz, it's going to say the car had hit the tree. Is that passive or active voice? And so here you can tell it's active voice because it's the car that's doing the action. That's how you know it's active voice. Then your quiz is going to ask you, is the sentence active or passive voice? The tree was hit by the car. So here the tree, which is the object, is receiving the action of being hit by the car. Therefore, it's passive tense. So you have to understand the difference between active and passive tense.
Okay.
Oh, everything okay?
Yeah, sorry, my thing got unmuted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then here you have the tree was hit by the car. And so here, another way of telling if something is passive voice is you have the be verb plus a past participle. So was is a be verb and hit is the past participle. Past tense, was hit. Okay, so every time you have a be verb plus a past participle, that's the way a passive verb tense is formulated. So that's how you could tell on your quiz whether or not the sentence is active or passive voice. So verb tenses show time, they reflect state and existence, and they reflect action. So verbs, okay? So here you have the present tense, I shout, he shouts. The past tense, he shouted, they shouted. The progressive tense, I am shouting. And verb tenses can either be active or passive voice. The subject either does the action or receives the action. So if the subject receives the action, is that passive or active voice, Kelly? If the subject is receiving the action, is that passive or active voice?
Passive.
Passive. If the subject is doing the action, Samuel, is that active or passive voice?
Active.
Active voice, yes. So the bird was run over by the car. Here, the bird is receiving the action of being run over by the car. And once again, you have a be verb plus a past participle. And that's how you know that it is, hey, this is not receiving action. So that's how you know it's passive voice. Okay, so here's some more examples of the car ran over the bird. Here, the car is doing the action of running over the bird. Therefore, it's active voice. The car is running over the child. Once again, active voice as long as the car is doing the action. I am being taught English by the professor. So here, be verb plus past tense. That's how we form passive voice. So you are being taught English, so you're receiving the action, therefore you're in a passive state. That's one way of remembering it. The professor teaches English. Here the subject is doing the action, therefore it's active voice. So anytime you have is, was, were, be, being, plus the past tense of the verb run, spoken, walked, that's equal passive voice. All right. So here are some here are some questions. Which one is not true about verb tenses? Verb tenses refer to a verb being active or passive. Is that true or false? So we're looking for one of the ones that's not true. So which one of these is not true?
A is true.
B, or C? A is true. What about C? Tense refers to representing actions in time and sequence. Is that true or false? That's also true. So here, the only one that's not true, tense refers to how stressed the verb is in a sentence. No, syllables refer to how stressed a word is in a sentence. When we count our syllables, important, or so therefore, verbs have nothing to do with counting illustration or having stress. That's all to do with English pronunciation. And so that's why British English and American English, for example, in British English, they'll say privacy. And in American English, we say privacy. So therefore, the where we stress the syllable in the word privacy differs. So that has nothing to do with verbs and everything to do with English pronunciation and dialects. So B, that's the reason why B is incorrect. Which one represents an active verb tense? The child kicked the ball into the street, or the ball was kicked into the street. So why is this active voice and why is this passive voice? Anybody?
Because the child is kicking the ball into the street.
Because the child is kicking the ball. Another way of looking at it is looking at the verb tense. Here you have a be verb was plus a past tense verb. So as soon as you have a be verb plus a past tense verb, that equals passive voice. That's another way of spotting passive voice, is looking for the be verb. So here you don't have the be verb, and therefore that's another way of doing it. Okay, so that would be your quiz question. Which sentence represents passive verb tense? The car was steered to the side of the road, or the driver steered the car to the side of the road. This is getting easier, right? For all of you? You can see it now easily, which one is passive and which one is active, just by looking at the verbs. You don't even have to think about of what the sentence says if you want to do it that way. Okay, two ways of doing it. Either you look at the verb tense, or you look at whether the subject is receiving or doing the action. So there are two ways of finding out whether something is passive or active voice. So the car was steered to the side of the road. This is passive voice because the car is receiving the action of being steered by the driver. And then another way is was, be verb plus the past tense. Both of them earmark that as passive voice. Here, the driver steered the car to the side of the road. So the driver is the one doing the subject is doing the action. So that's active voice. When we write our essays, we want to stick to active voice because it makes our essays sound so much more dynamic. Now we're leaving behind verbs, okay? And we're going to go into chapter 25. Everybody ready for chapter 25? You want me to repeat the previous one? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I take silence to mean no. All right.
No.
So in chapter, No. Okay. So in chapter 25, we're going to go over subject-verb agreement. And so when you have a verb must agree with the subject in number. A singular subject takes a singular verb. A plural subject takes a plural verb. That's the general rule. And so singular subject, Jane, is. So singular subject takes a singular verb. Then Jane and Mike, that's a plural subject. Then we take a plural verb, are. So we don't say Jane and Mike is, and we don't say Jane are. Okay, so that's wrong. So here is a quiz question. Which of the following is true about subject-verb agreement? If a subject is plural, the verb needs to be plural. If a subject is singular, the verb needs to be plural. If a subject is plural, the verb needs to be singular. So which one is correct? A, B, or C? Anybody want to give a try? Robin? A, yes. So, okay, that wasn't, was that Robin who said that? No, okay, it doesn't matter.
Nell Marie.
Hmm?
Nell Marie.
Yes, okay, okay. Oh, is that how you say your name? Nell Marie? That's a pretty name. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Nell Marie. Yes, so if you have a plural subject, it takes a plural verb. So that's correct. Now, in the old grammar book, whenever you have an indefinite pronoun, like everyone, everything, nobody, no one, somebody, something, that takes a singular verb. But in the new grammar book, because of the, let's see, you don't want to tell people their gender or whatnot. And so in order to be more gender neutral, you would say everybody does their homework. So that's the new way of saying indefinite pronouns, so that people who are, you can be more gender neutral in your grammar, in your writing. Just like we don't say businessman, we say business person. We don't say fireman, we say firefighter. And so, but for this quiz, we're going to go by the old grammar book. And so when you're writing out with business letters, yeah, we write it this way. But for this quiz, we're going to stick to the old way of the old grammar rules. So in the old grammar rules, when you have an indefinite pronoun, then you always have a singular verb. So you would say every man, woman, and child is being evacuated from their houses, or from his house or her house. So every man, woman, and child, all of that is singular. So that's an indefinite pronoun. So that's something you got to remember. When you have a gerund, okay, a gerund is an ing word used as a noun. So normally when you say I am shopping, that's a verb. But then when I use the word shopping as a noun, then it's called a gerund. So when we use something as a noun, we're using it as a subject and an object. So if I say shopping is fun, then I'm using a gerund. And whenever you have a gerund in a sentence, like shopping is fun, eating at a restaurant is fun, studying English is hard. So all of these are known as gerund subjects. And when you have a gerund subject, it's always singular. And so singular gerund subjects always takes a singular verb. So we don't say studying English are hard. Now, for a native speaker, you would actually think, oh yeah, that doesn't even sound right, okay? But for an ESL person, they have to memorize the rule that gerunds take singular because they lack the ability to hear that something sounds right or wrong. And in their own language, they can hear if there's somebody saying a grammar mistake. But anyway, so when you have a gerund subject, you take a singular verb. So that's something you have to remember. Eating at a restaurant is an easy thing to do. And not during the pandemic, but that's a whole nother topic. So when you have a prepositional phrase plus verb plus subject, that is a simple sentence. Now, sometimes the subject is not always at the beginning of the sentence. So that causes confusion for students. Normally, you're used to saying subject plus verb plus object, like the house is down the street, for instance. So the house is the subject, is the verb, and down the street is the prepositional phrase. But you can also have prepositional phrase, verb, and subject. Over the hill sits a red house. So over the hill is the prepositional phrase. So remember, a prepositional phrase shows time and place. So over the hill is not the subject, it's just a prepositional phrase. Then sits is the verb, and then a red house, that's the subject. And therefore, when you have the subject, a red house, which is a singular subject, then it takes the singular verb sits. So this means exactly the same thing. Over the hill sits a red house means exactly the same thing as a red house sits over the hill. And you have to know that British people like to say, over the hill sits a red house. Americans pretty much like to say, yeah, a red house sits over the hill. Okay, so it's got to do with British and American English, but it still exists in English. So you still have to know that when you have a prepositional phrase at the beginning of a sentence, then the subject is at the end of the sentence, and that your verb still has to agree with that subject. So here you have a singular subject, a red house, and then a singular verb. So that's what you have to remember. Here is the sentence from your quiz. Hovering overhead at the scene of the accident. Okay, that whole thing is not a subject. That's the prepositional phrase because it tells you where something took place. So a preposition is like at the store, on the table, in the classroom, at the Zoom meeting. In other words, where are you? Okay, so here you have the helicopters. So the helicopters are hovering overhead. So hovering overhead at the scene of the accident was or were several traffic helicopters. And that's the subject. Traffic helicopters is the subject. So here you have a plural subject, several helicopters. Therefore, it's going to take a plural verb, were. So hovering at the scene of the accident were several helicopters. And this has the exact same meaning as several traffic helicopters, subject, were, verb, hovering overhead at the scene of the accident, prepositional phrase. All right, so that's basically where students get confused, is that when you have a prepositional phrase at the beginning of the sentence, then the subject is at the end of the sentence. Is everybody clear on that? Do you remember learning this in grade school? Yeah, what grade were you in when you learned this? First grade, second grade? Too long ago, you don't remember.
Yeah, I was in home Puerto Rico, so English wasn't the first language over there back then.
Oh, okay, all right. So hovering overhead at the scene of the accident were several traffic, okay, I did this already. Okay, down the street was the red house. So these are more examples. Okay, and then when you have there were, then you have there is not the subject. There were 4 chairs in the room. So 4 chairs is the subject. So therefore you have a plural subject, 4 chairs, and then you have the plural verb were. So therefore the plural subject takes the plural verb. There were 4 chairs, or there are 4 chairs. You can't say there is 4 chairs. And so here, this is all the same thing. And this is all the same thing. And here. So which sentence is correct? You was on your way home, you are on your way home, or you is on your way home? Which is correct? A, B, or C?
B.
B.
B, you are on your way home. And then hovering overhead at the scene of the accident is one sole helicopter. So what kind of mistake is in this sentence? Is it a subject-verb mistake? Is it a standard English mistake? Or is this a consistent verb tense mistake? What kind of mistake, if any, is in this sentence?
Is it C?
Or there could be no mistakes at all. So
It's A.
here, so basically here, I think that what happened is that this used to be were, and I forgot to change it back. I think this is supposed to look like this, and I think I corrected it for the last class and forgot to, yeah, this sentence is supposed to look like this. No wonder I was like, well, what's there to correct? It's a correct sentence. Okay, this is the way the sentence is supposed to look. All right, so hovering overhead at the scene of the accident were one sole helicopter. I think that was my original sentence. And then this is a subject-verb agreement mistake. Therefore, you're supposed to write is. And then what happened was I must have just went is and went on to the next one and forgot to do it. So for the next class over, so they're going to ask on your quiz, what kind of grammar mistake is in that sentence? And therefore, the correct answer is that in this sentence, you have a subject-verb agreement mistake because one sole helicopter is a singular subject, and that's supposed to take a singular verb is or was, not were. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. That is it for this. Oh, and a compound subject. So compound subject means you have 2 subjects. So a compound subject is a plural subject. It takes a plural verb. So when you have a conjunction like John and Mike, both John and Mike, but that changes when you have or. As soon as you have or, John or Mike, it becomes a singular subject. Okay, so John or Mike is at the party. Neither John nor, oh, okay. So, and as soon as you see the word or, it becomes singular subject. So it takes a singular verb. Now, neither nor, that's a special case. Neither John nor his brothers. And so we always go by the second subject. Okay, the second one is the subject. So therefore, the answer is are. Neither John nor his brothers are in the room. So you always go by the second one. Now, if I change it around and I say neither his brothers or John, now it's John. The second subject is singular, and so the answer is. Did you get that? Or do I need to do that again? So if I say, what is the subject in this sentence? Is it John or is it his brothers? Which is the subject? You have to figure out which one is the subject before you can figure out what verb to use with it. So in this sentence, neither John nor his brothers are in the room. What's the subject of the sentence?
John?
No.
Brothers. His brothers.
His brothers. Yes, it's always the second. Whenever you have the neither nor, either or, and it's always the second one is the subject. Therefore, the answer to this question becomes are. Now, if I were to switch it around, neither his brothers or John, nor John, okay, neither his brothers nor John. What is the subject of the sentence?
John.
John, yes. So therefore, it's always the second one. This also works for either Pamela or her sisters are in the room. So with either or works the same way. What's the subject of the sentence? Is it Pamela or her sisters?
Sisters.
Sisters. Do we use is or do we use are?
Are.
Are. Okay. So if I switch this around and I say her sisters or Pamela are in the room. What is the subject of the sentence?
Pamela.
Pamela. Okay, so it becomes is. So
Is.
if I say Pamela or John is in, oh, I gave it away. Ah, that's so annoying. Are in the room. So what is the
John.
no, both of them.
No.
As soon as I don't
Oh,
have,
That's just neither or.
yeah, as soon as I don't have neither and nor, either or, then you could have Pamela or John is in the room. It just becomes a singular subject. If I don't have neither nor, and I just have Pamela or John, then it becomes a singular subject. Because when we use or, we're choosing, oh, is it her or is it him? And so you're singling out someone when you use or. So that's why it becomes a singular verb. So Pamela could be the subject or John, either one is the subject. You can't tell because I didn't say. So it becomes is. Now, if I were to say Pamela and John, and I'm putting them together, do we use is or are? And changes everything.
Are.
Are, yes. So you got to always remember that or. Usually it always means is. And then when you have either or, neither nor, you have to look at the second subject in order to figure out the subject. Everybody good on that? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And also when you have something like this with Pamela and John, that's called a compound subject, meaning compound is a word that means two of something. So therefore, that's it. So here you have a quiz question. For the compound subject, which verb is needed? So Samantha and Jacob. So once again, we remember that when we have an and, suddenly everything becomes, is it singular or plural if it's and? Yes.
Ride.
Plural. Yes, it's
Plural.
plural. Yeah, it's ride because I ride, he rides, she rides, that's singular. And then they ride and we ride is yes. So the answer is Samantha and Jacob ride the A train to work every day. Correct. Okay, because you want they ride, we ride. If you can't remember, you can always write out the conjugation. Which statement notes the incorrect item in the sentence? This coat and scarf looks very warm, but the wind seems to go right through them. So what is the mistake in this sentence? Is it A, subject verb agreement, B, consistent verb tense, or C, standard English or irregular verb form? What is this? What is the mistake in this sentence? Although I did write out the answer.
It would be the
Hey.
look.
Yeah, it's subject
This
verb
is
agreement.
plural?
Because you need to have the correct answer should be. There you go. It should be this coat and scarf look very warm because coat and scarf is a plural subject. So here you have a subject verb agreement mistake. So A is the correct answer. Everybody got that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so here I'm going over the same thing I went over before, where I say indefinite pronouns like nobody, nothing, somebody, everybody, every man, woman, and child, all of that always takes a singular verb. So nobody is perfect. You don't say nobody were perfect. Every man, woman, and child is in the room. And then we already went over either or, neither nor are known as correlative pronouns. So we already went over that when you have a correlative pronoun like either or, neither nor, the second subject is the subject. So either Alex or Hannah leads the chorus. And so here, leads is the correct answer because either or makes the subject singular. Actually, the word or, and also the second subject here. So Hannah is the subject because it's the second subject of either or, and therefore, since Hannah is a singular subject, it will take a singular verb, leads. Okay, so therefore, the correct answer is A. Either Alex or Hannah leads the chorus. Everybody got that?
Yep.
If I were to change it to and, that would change the answer down to C. Okay, all I have to do is change this to and get rid of either, and then the answer becomes C. Does everybody get that? Or makes it singular. Okay, and also if I had a plural subject here, then this will also become plural also. But anyway, so you get the idea. So here, a plum or an orange are a good snack. Which one is it? Is it is or are?
Are,
No.
right?
Or.
Good.
When you have an or, it's singular. So here, a plum or an orange. In other words, either one of them. Therefore, the answer is a good snack. If I say plums and oranges, and I put in the word and, then it becomes plums and oranges are a good snack. So always when you have or, it's singular. When you have and, it's plural. And when you have either or, it all depends on, if I say either the orange or the plums are a good snack. Okay, what is it, is or are? If I write either or.
Are.
Okay, you got it. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor the point. Everybody get that? So we're leaving subject verb behind, subject verb agreement behind. Everybody got that? Do I need to go over it
Yep.
again? No. Okay.
Good to go.
So when we write our sentences and our paragraphs, we always want to have consistent verb tense. Consistent verb tense means that if you start your sentence in the past tense, then all of the verbs should be in the past tense. If you start your sentence in simple sentence, not the simple sense, present tense, then everything's got to be in present tense. You can't mix and match like that. Otherwise, if you shift the verb tense suddenly, then it's inconsistent and it jars the reader and then it makes no sense because you can't have something happening today, yesterday, and tomorrow all at the same time, okay? So something either happens right now or it all happens yesterday, or it will all happen tomorrow. This is the reason why your tenses have to match your time period, because you're not quantum leap and you're not jumping different dimensions in one single. That's what happens when you make that kind of mistake. Is you're jumping your dimensions, and that's not quite it. So incorrect. The gardener breaks up the hard earth, added peat, then blends the soil evenly. And so here you have present tense, past tense, present tense. That's not correct. You want everything because it's all happening right now, okay? Unless you have a time traveling machine. So here the correct answer is the gardener breaks up the earth, simple present. He adds peat, simple present, and he blends the soil, simple present. So if I were to add something like will blend, for instance, if I add that, and suddenly we jump into the future. Now you can switch verb tenses, but then you have to have some kind of transition word. Suddenly an earthquake erupted or something. So when you do change tenses, you have to have some kind of transition word to indicate to the reader that a tense or something is happening. So usually when you do switch tenses, it's usually something sudden. But if you don't have anything, if it's all one sentence, okay, then it should all stick to one tense. So here, breaks up the earth, adds peat, will blend the soil, doesn't make sense. Okay, so you want to have consistent verb tense. This is a very common essay error, okay? And so if you start in the present tense, then you stay in the present tense. And then you would say, suddenly a bird flew over the gardener as he was gardening. So then in the next sentence, you can then switch, as in suddenly something else happened, okay? Then you can switch tenses. But within the same sentence, you should have consistent verb tense. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. This is a very common error. And here are the different kinds of verb tenses in English. Simple present, I eat. Simple past, I ate. Simple future, I eat. All of these are one action that's completed. And then here, present continuous, I am eating, I was eating, I will be eating. This is one action, but it's not finished. It keeps going and going and going, but one action that keeps going. Present perfect, I have lived, I had lived, I will have lived. Okay, these you have two complete actions, either in the present, two complete actions in the past, or two complete actions in the future. I will give an example. So here, present perfect, I have lived in Los Angeles for 30 years. So here you have something that's a little bit in the past. I have lived, in other words, since 1985, but I'm still living in Los Angeles right now, going into the future. That's present perfect. So that's two actions, one action happening a little before the other action and then continuing. So that's present perfect. I had lived. So I had brushed my teeth before I went to bed. So when you have two actions in the past, one action in the past before another action in the past, that's when we use past perfect. So I had brushed my teeth before I went to bed. So always the past perfect is the action that's most into the past, while the other one is simple past. So that's when you have two actions and I had brushed my teeth. So that's past perfect. Future perfect is when you have two future actions. I will have brushed my teeth before I will go to bed tomorrow. So once again, you have two actions in the future, and then tomorrow I will have brushed my teeth, okay? And then tomorrow before I will go to bed. So will have brushed my teeth, that is the perfect tense, always happens before the simple tense. Before I will go to bed. So will go to bed is the simple future. And so always the perfect tense always comes before the simple tense. Does that make sense? Or do you want me to write examples? Is that good? Was that good for everybody? Okay.
It makes sense.
Okay, present perfect. Now, all of these, when I say I had brushed my teeth before I went to bed, two complete actions in the past. I will have brushed my teeth before I will have gone to bed, two complete actions in the future. It's finished. But here, present perfect continuous, you have two actions running into each other. And so I have been talking on this lecture while at the same time, my students are listening to me. So here you have two actions continuing into each other. Now, past perfect. Yesterday, I gave a Zoom lecture to another section of this class, and I had been talking to the students, and while the students were listening, and then the phone rang, okay? And then the phone rang, that's the one complete action, and the other two are running into. So whenever you have two actions, either in the past, the present, or the future, and they run into each other, that's when you have the past perfect, present perfect, or future perfect continuous, okay? So either the two actions running together is happening today, or the two actions running together happened yesterday, or the two actions running together will happen tomorrow. at the same time. So tomorrow I will be doing a lecture just like this one. The students will be listening, so the two run together. So the thing about perfect tenses in all of this is in all the perfect tenses where you have plus a verb, you're always talking about two actions. Either they're two actions completed or two actions running into each other. Whereas when you have the simple tenses, the continuous tenses, that's all about one action, either in the present, the past, or the future. So when you have the simple tenses, it's one action happening in the past, present, and future, finished. This one is one action happening in the present, past, and future, but it's still doing it. You're still going on, you see. So, and then here you've got the two actions finished, and here you have the two actions running into each other. Those are all of the 12 tenses of English. If you can master these tenses correctly, then you can have correct, consistent verb tense for your essays. Most students do not understand the second half. Most students do very well writing number one, number two, number three, 4, 5, and 6. Very, very well, at least ESL students. And then ESL students don't tend to use this as much. At least that's the case when I taught the class about 20 years ago. So how many of you knew about all of this about verb tenses? Well, I guess it's hard to see hands. See, when I used to teach face-to-face, then everybody would raise their hands like this, and then I would get an answer. But on Zoom, I guess. Okay, so let's see how this relates to your quiz. So quiz question. Dot searched for the $20 bill she had hid somewhere in her purse. Which statement notes the incorrect item in this sentence? So is this a standard English irregular verb form mistake? Is this a subject-verb agreement mistake? Or is this a consistent verb tense mistake? What is the mistake in this sentence? A, B, or C? Of course, if you read it, the answer is right here, but. Okay, so the answer is consistent verb tense. That's the correct answer. Here you have simple past. Dot search for the $20 bill she had hid. Now, this is not correct. You would have to write, so here now it's correct. Simple past, dot search for the $20 bill she hid somewhere in her purse. Now it's correct. Now, if I wanted to write dot had searched for the $20 bill she had hid in her purse, now you have it correct, okay? Because you have to have either you have simple past and simple past, or you have a past perfect and a past perfect. And so here, this sentence is not correct because you have, and also the past perfect usually comes before the simple past. And so the correct answer is consistent verb tense. Do you understand? It would be correct if I did this, all right? But because you have two different tenses and they're in the wrong order, then if I said she had hid her $20 bill somewhere in her purse, then dot search for that bill, then that would be correct. So it's in the wrong order. You have to know that the perfect tenses usually come first. Then you have the simple past. I had brushed my teeth before I went to bed, because the simple past comes further back into the past. Therefore, you state it first. Then the next action over is the simple past. Do you understand what I'm talking about? For one thing. So therefore, when you have a sentence, you have to make sure either you have the same verb tense or you place the simple past first. Then you write you place your past perfect, had brushed my teeth first, then went to bed. So the order of the action is in the wrong order, and also it's got the wrong tenses and it's not consistent. Is that clear? Yeah, I'm sure that when you read a book, you don't look so into the tenses of everything, do you? No, no. Anyway, that's what this quiz is for. It's supposed to help you. Okay, now the fun part. We're done with me doing all the talking. Now that's it. Okay, that's it for week one. Okay, that's your week one quiz in a nutshell. And that means that we're now going to review. Okay, this is what I mean by you got to get 100% on your practice quiz, then you're ready to take the actual quiz. So here we're going to practice. So this is the actual quiz. The dog chased the cat around the yard. What is the subject of the sentence? Is it A, B, or C? Justin.
C.
Excellent. Which verb is needed for the following sentence? Either Alex or Hannah blank the chorus. Is it A, B, or C? Samuel.
C.
So either or.
Oh, leads.
Leads, like he leads, she leads, she leads. Yeah, and which is not true about the verb tense? Is it A, B, or C? Brittany.
C.
No, because verb tenses, you got the present tense, the past tense, future tense. So verb tenses do talk about actions. So which one is not true? Not which one is true. Which one is not true?
So it would be B.
B, yes. Verb tenses have nothing to do with stressed verbs, privacy. Okay, number 4, we just did this one. Is it A, B, or C? Which statement notes the incorrect item in this sentence? Is it A, standard English, B, subject verb agreement, C, consistent verb tense?
C.
C, yes, consistent verb tense. Which of the following is true about subject verb agreement? A, B, or C?
A.
A, yes, excellent. Janet earned first place in the poetry competition. What type of noun is the underlined word? Is it a plural noun, proper noun, or common noun?
Proper.
Proper noun, because we always capitalize names. Okay. Number 7, which statement notes the incorrect item in the sentence? This coat and scarf looks very warm, but the wind seems to go right through them. Is it A, subject verb agreement, B, consistent verb tense, C, standard verb forms? Kelly.
A. Subject verb.
A, it's A, excellent. My aunt makes the best chocolate cake. What type of noun is the underlined word? Is it A, common, B, proper, C, plural? Justin.
A, common.
Oh, there are 2 other people that didn't show up. Sorry. Yes, correct. So which one represents active verb tense? A, the child kicked the ball into the street. B, the ball was kicked into the street. Maya. Is it A or B? Anybody can help Maya out? Is it A or B?
A.
A, yes. And so A is active verb tense, okay, because the subject is doing the action of kicking the ball. Which sentence represents passive verb tense? Robin, is it A or B? Which one is passive verb tense?
A.
The passive verb tense is the car was steered to the side of the road. Excellent. Yes, because the car is receiving the action of being steered by the driver. 11. Which verb is needed for the following sentence? A plum or an orange? A, were, B, are, or C, is?
Is.
Is. Excellent. So a plum or an orange is a good snack. For the compound subject, which verb is needed? Samantha and Jacob blank the A train to work every day. Is it A, B, or C?
A. C.
We ride, he rides, she rides. Yeah, so we have a compound subject. So when we have a compound subject that's a plural subject, it takes a plural verb. So which one of these is a plural verb?
A.
A, yes. So Samantha and Jacob ride the A train to work every day. Which one demonstrates a plural subject? A, B, or C? Anyone?
A.
A, the coats. Excellent. Which one is a noun? Samuel, is it ran, river, or lumpy?
Ran? No, river.
River, yes, because ran is an action, which is a verb. Lumpy is a description, so it's an adjective. So that means river is a common noun. What is the correct pronoun to use for the antecedent children? The children played with A, their, B, them, C, her and his toys all day. So Brittany.
A.
A, excellent. And then let's see. So Maya, you was on your way home, you are on your way home, you is on your way home. Which is the correct answer?
B.
B, excellent. Which sentence shows active voice? There are several start times for the movie. Or B, the movie starts today. Which one shows that the subject is doing the action? Justin.
B.
B, excellent. The subject of a sentence, true or false, the subject of a sentence tells who or what the sentence is about, or who or what is doing the action. True or false? Robin. Is it true or false? Anybody else? True, yes, it's true. The subject of a sentence tells you what the sentence is about. Excellent. Hovering overhead at the scene of the accident was several helicopters. What kind of error is this? A, standard English. B, subject verb agreement. C, consistent verb tense. Who wants to volunteer the answer?
B.
B, excellent, subject verb agreement, because here you have plural subject helicopters, and it takes were, several helicopters. That's it. And then for your essay, okay, now we're done with the quiz, okay? You're all ready to take the quiz. We're done with week 1 quiz. Now I'm just gonna go very, very briefly about your week 2 assignment. So in week 2, you're gonna start writing the outline of your first essay. And so if you cannot think of a topic for your essay, you can write, I became a nurse because reason 1, and your thesis statement is the main idea of your sentence, of your essay. And it's the last sentence of the first paragraph and the first sentence of the last paragraph is the main idea of the essay. And therefore your body paragraphs have to match your thesis statement. That's known as a 5-paragraph essay structure. So I became a nurse because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, then reason 1, you write 5 to 7 sentences, reason 2, 5 to 7 sentences, reason 3, 5 to 7 sentences. And so here, or you can write my role model was my mother because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. And so your topics, your thesis statement always has this formula, topic plus opinion plus reasons. And that's it for, does everyone have a topic for your essay 1?
No.
No,
Yes.
okay. So have you started thinking about what you're going to write about for your essay 1? Do
No,
you
ma'am.
know? Do you have any idea? So you could write about I became a nurse because, or I went back to Fortis College because, or you could, in other words, the essay 1, if you're writing about a turning point in your life. My divorce was the turning point in my life because reason 1, because my husband was abusive, because my children, in other words, whatever the 3 reasons are, okay? And so my brother had his divorce because his wife was abusive, okay? I got lucky, I didn't have an abusive anybody, but not my brother. Anyway, so what are you going to write about? You're going to write about what you became, or are you going to, so what turning point? Because for most people, it's getting married, going to boot camp, having a kid, death of a parent, or death of a relative. Usually those are getting a new job, changing careers. Those are the most common ones that I get as to turning points in people's lives. So you got to think about, what was a turning point? What changed my life to who I am now? And that's going to be your writing prompt for next week. Do you have any questions?
Yes. Do we have to do anything for Wednesday today for like turn in?
For this week, all you have to do is your week 1 forum and your week 1 quiz. So you're not turning anything in for week 1. So week 2, you have no forums. All you have to do is just turn in the outline to a paper, to your paper, your turning point paper. So that covers week 1 and week 2. So if in week 1, you've already done your forum, week 1 forum, and you've already taken your week 1 quiz, then you're done for week 1. And week 2, you just have to think about your paper and write about an outline, and there's no forum. In other words, the forums occur every other week. Week 1, week 3, week 5, week 7, 9, and 12. So you don't have to have a forum every single week. So that clears you up. Although a lot of students wish they had forums every week because they seem to like to talk to each other. And in week 3, we get to play a food game. People love that one. And week 5, 7, 9, and 11, the forums are all going to be peer review forums where we correct each other's papers. So that about covers it. So do you have any other questions? Are you ready to take your week 1 quiz?
No, I'm probably going to study a little bit more because, again, like English was not my first one. And yes, different rules in Spanish and English.
Oh, yeah. Like you can say a house red, and you can't do that in English. The only time you can put an adjective after a noun is if you have a stative verb, like Robert is handsome. This looks good. When you have a stative verb, then you have is handsome, and then handsome modifies Robert at the beginning of the sentence. That's the only time in English you can put the adjective after the noun. But in French and Spanish, you can say, I have house red. J'ai une maison rouge. Tengo una casa roja. Is that about right? Did I say that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's much easier in Chinese. 这个房子是 I can't remember red off the top of my head. Oh, well, so much for my Chinese. I forgot it. I understand it when people say it to me and when I watch TV. So it's become more passive because I don't use it very much. So if you don't use the language, it gets forgotten or something like that. So
Is there any, like, have you ever had any students that had trouble understanding, and do you have anything to recommend them?
oh, yes. I've had students who are ESL students, and ESL students make different mistakes than native speakers. For example, an ESL student would say, I am going to the home. Of course, when a native speaker hears that, they're thinking, you're going to your nursing home? The home for a native speaker means the nursing home. But for an ESL student, they just don't know when to use the, when not to use the, okay? That sort of thing. And also the pronunciation, the, it ends up going ta, because the pronunciation, only Germans can say it correctly because the comes from the German language, because English is a Germanic language. So you blame the Germans for the like that. All other languages will all go ta. And then vice versa, Americans have trouble saying ra. They can't say roja, okay? It'll come out sounding roja, which sounds so American English. Right away, when someone says roja, you know, right away, oh, that's American. He's not even with the right accent. Same thing in Chinese. When someone speaks Chinese in a non-musical way, it's supposed to say ni hao ma. That's correct. Americans will say ni hao ma. Notice how it's all very monotone. And so right away, a Chinese person will hear, oh, okay, that's an American. He's not speaking proper, whatever. So yeah, my brother speaks Chinese that way. And I know saying the word, well, Ringo is not very nice, but it's okay to say that to my brother. It's just nice to say to anybody else. Yeah, he deserves it too. So out of all the people on earth, that's the only person I would tease in that manner, but nobody else like that. So yeah, and he does speak that way. We both have the same parents, yet he speaks like ni hao ma, as if his parents was Mr. and Mrs. Smith across the street or something. That's why I always tease him that way. Like he's not really Chinese, and he doesn't care actually, but it's fun. So do you have any other questions?
I do.
Okay,
So what
go
if we don't get 100% on the quiz?
Well, then you get a 90%. As long as you get above 80%, that looks good. And if you think you need to retake the quiz because you're only allowed one time, then you have to email me, but I want to retake the quiz. And if you get a lower than say 70% or lower than 80%, then you email me and I will let you retake the quiz.
Thank you. I took it
Is
before
the
this
quiz
lecture.
time?
Yes, the quiz is timed, correct. Yes, but most students, once they watch this video, they usually do it in 2 or 3 minutes.
I took the quiz before the lecture, so I didn't do very good.
So then you have to email me and then I will, because otherwise I'm not going to remember. Sometimes I'll remember to look through everyone's grades and I see 50, 70, and then I will say, you need to take it again. You need to take that again. That's a terrible grade. You can do better than that. You know, especially if you study and watch the videos, since I go over and tell you all the answers and see. So therefore, as long as you study, you should get a decent grade. Any other questions?
We have until Sunday to take the quiz, just that way I can get enough time to study.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes. So any other questions? Once you get the hang of it all, and I have the PowerPoints, and I also in your email, I sent the hard copy of a PowerPoint that's exactly the same as what I just told you in this lecture. Okay, so you got to look in your email for the hard copies. And if I forget to send the hard copies, you got to remind me. So you're going to have a quiz in week 1, week 3, week 5, and week 7. Just 4 quizzes. Okay, that's going to go over all of English grammar. And next week, I will go over the week 3 quiz. That's week 2. Okay, so any other questions? And I hope to see you all next week for the week 3 quiz. Okay. All right. So since nobody has any more questions.
Could I ask?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Could I just
No,
ask one more question? So I just wanted to ask about the late policy. Say if because like yesterday I was still learning kind of the system, but going to the school helped me.
Don't worry about the first week. The first week I don't bother with the late policy because everyone is so lost. It's only until you get to week 3 forum, and then I start doing the week, because by that time everyone knows the classroom. So I'm currently teaching 3 other classes, and it's all the same. Everyone started at the same time. So at least for this week, I don't have to worry about doing any kind of late policy. I don't.
So, but is it like, are we able to turn the work in still, or and the points are just deducted, or are you not able to?
After next week, then yeah, then your points will get deducted. It's on your rubric. If you want to see how many points gets deducted for lateness, you just have to check your rubric, and that will show you. So always look at your rubric. That way you know what to expect in terms of what to do for the essay and how many points and that sort of thing. And it also acts as a checklist of what you have to do for that assignment. So always look at the grading rubric, because the grading rubric is the checklist. Anything else?
Now that you mentioned, yes, ma'am. Now that you mentioned about the rubric, when I tried to go in, it told me only the teacher was allowed, only the professor was allowed. I couldn't see it.
Okay, so if you're interested in looking at the rubric before you do the assignment, then you can always email me, and then I will email you what the rubric looks like. So everybody interested in what the okay, so I'll post it in the announcements. Any other questions? Oh, that's good. Silence is golden. Yes. So I hope to see all of you next week. And I hope you all do well on your quizzes. Okay, so this ends this session, and I hope to see you all next week. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.